Hey Bubble family, welcome back to the channel. So I want to say thank you to the people that have accepted that I have to go back into talking about these two. Well, not have to, but I do feel it's important to consistently call out what I believe, and this is important to add that just because I believe it doesn't mean that it's absolutely true, because truth is backed by facts and evidence. I'm never going to say this is my truth, because, well, truth is based upon facts and evidence. This is a perception. So I do give you my perception of what I believe. Take that as you will. Yes, I am a qualified therapist, but this isn't therapy. And I think it's important to note that. It's just that I am giving you my perspective with the knowledge that I have in this field. And hopefully, some of you will agree with that, or most of you will agree with that, but it's also okay if you don't, because we can open up a discussion. As long as you are respectful in the comments, I am happy to have anyone come on and even disagree with me. So I am going to be talking in today's video. Something in my eye, honestly. So I feel like every time I come on, there's an issue. So I am going to be talking about the racism retraction, should I say, and I'm going to delve into a little bit of that and the difference between this, Harry's favourite phrase, unconscious bias. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and what I feel in regards to that. So if you'd like to join me in this video, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you like it. If you don't, that's okay too, but thank you for the view. Then you should know by now. And if you don't and you're new here, let me just show you. Grab your drink of choice, whether it be tea, whether it be coffee, which is what I'm drinking today. So yeah, not my cherries and berries today, it's a coffee. Whether you are detoxing after Christmas, you are doing a dry January, who knows, but maybe you would like to add a little something, as I know some of you, after watching the docu-series or looking at the stuff online, you have felt the need to have a drink. Never going to encourage that, but I understand it. So grab that drink of choice, because as I always say, it is 5 o'clock somewhere, and let's dive right in. So, as most of you are aware by now, in Harry's interview with Tom Bradbury, he has stated, retracted that he called, that they didn't say that the royal family were racist. Now, I have, and I'm going, I know some people might feel that I could be biased because of how I feel in regards to Harry and Meghan's behaviour, let's just say, because I will not say that I don't like a person, because I don't feel there's enough for me to say that I don't like a person, but I don't like their behaviour. What I'm seeing playing out online, and this isn't just about the media, although I do hold the media accountable for a lot of things, but this is what I see playing out in their behaviour. So in the Oprah interview, I'm sure most of you by now know about this. They and obviously, Harry's, and I will call it gaslighting, because I believe that Harry's attempt to gaslight the world is very apparent to see. What I also am noticing is the difference in the way the things he says to the American audience, the interview with Tom Cooper, is it Tom Cooper? Apologies if I get that name wrong. I might have got that confused with Tom Bradbury. Anyway, so the American interviewer in 60 Minutes, as opposed to, sorry, Arthur, what are you doing? As opposed to the ITV interview, I can see a difference in how he speaks in that interview to the other one. The questions were fairly similar. I mean, not that I've seen all of it, and I will be honest, because it's very hard to listen to something where I believe a lot of it is lies or embellished in some way. Now, of course, there is the fact that he is speaking about his experiences, and I will never condemn someone for speaking about how they feel, what they believe. But in a way, it's very contradictory to say that he's allowed to do that or accept that he's allowed to do that, but then he condemns anyone else, or they condemn anyone else that speaks about their experience. And a classic example is Piers Morgan. In Piers Morgan's experience, when this Oprah interview aired, he spoke about how he believed that it was lies. There was no evidence to back up what they were saying. They didn't name anybody. They heavily implied racism within the royal family. So he openly stated that he didn't believe what was being said. That's his perception, his opinion. But he in a way got fired from the job, because it was a case of, you either apologize for your opinion or you've got to go. So why does it seem that it's okay for Harry to give his opinion and that's acceptable, but when anybody else speaks out against them, that's racism or unconscious bias, as Harry loves to band around? So we know that in this Oprah interview, they heavily, and I strongly say heavily, implied, and the word race was used, that there were discussions about the Casper child, that is Archie, what skin colour he would have. Now, in Harry's world, this is classed as unconscious bias, whereas perhaps it's, in my opinion, it could be just a generalised conversation and curiosity. Now, that, to me, that's not really any different from saying, oh, I wonder what hair colour they're going to have, or I wonder what eye colour they're going to have. I think, I've certainly seen online that a lot of couples, mixed race couples, have had this discussion. Is that saying that all of them have got unconscious bias? Now, the way Harry views this is, his words were, if it's pointed out there's unconscious bias, you have to change it. No, you don't. Because the bottom line here is, somebody could say to me, you've got unconscious bias, and I can say, no, I don't. End of discussion. If I believe I have, if something's pointed out and I can kind of go, okay, yes, I can see how I might have that, then that's down to me to change it. But just because somebody points out, because of a conversation, that you've got unconscious bias, it doesn't mean to say that you have to agree with that. If it's unconscious, it means that you're not aware of it. So it's very difficult to change something that you're not actually aware of. Just because somebody points out, and I think it's a very dangerous kind of game to play by accusing somebody of something that they are not aware of, because then you're putting something in their field of awareness. So in a way, it kind of goes against the whole thesis of unconscious bias by saying to somebody, I think you're unconsciously biased and you're racist. Because what that can then do is create a person to believe they could be, in kind of like, oh wow, so someone's accusing me of racism, you know, especially if there's somebody that probably might look into themselves a lot, or they're not very confident, and so it can be very manipulative. And I do feel, if I'm honest, that this is what Harry and Meghan are doing. It's very manipulative to then accuse a family of unconscious bias and then expect them to change something that they're not consciously aware of. Now, okay, you can certainly take on someone's opinion and perspective and kind of go, okay, we're gonna look at that, perhaps, especially because it's an institution, perhaps there is something within that. Now, Harry states quite clearly that this hasn't been changed. How does he know? For nearly 3 years, he's not been part of the royal family. He's not been there. So how does he know that things haven't been put in place? But in his words, he's like, well, nothing's changed. Well, how does he know that? But then on the other hand, he then says, I don't believe my family's racist. And openly says this in the Tom Bradbury interview. But for 2 years, the family were hauled over the coals for being racist. And not only that, Harry and Meghan themselves put out a statement, or their PR team put out a statement saying when they were having this discussion with Oprah Winfrey, they did not mean Prince Philip or the Queen. But then what that then does is imply that perhaps it's other members of the royal family, which is what people did, in the fact that William was actually asked if his family was racist, and he said absolutely categorically no. So why did Harry, when that statement went out, say, I can understand how people might have jumped to this, or the media as per usual has jumped to this, but this was not what we were saying. We were saying this is a conversation that was had. Now let's go back to that conversation. And when it was first aired and Meghan was the first person to be interviewed, she stated categorically that it happened when she was pregnant. But she also said that it was a conversation that was with her husband. And now I can't recall whether or not she actually said that, or whether that came later in the Harry segment of the interview. But she certainly created it to seem as if that she was, in a way, kind of present in that when this whole discussion went down. Now, when Harry was then interviewed, so obviously they got together in 2016. Archie, she fell pregnant with Archie, was it 2018, 2019? Apologies if I get the year wrong. But anyway, a good 2 or 3 years later, but when Harry spoke about it, he was very vague, but he said it happened when they very first got together. So it was kind of a conversation of, imagine what the skin colour of your children would look like. And he then said, when asked by Oprah Winfrey, who was it? And he said, I'm never going to say. What was it? And I'm not going to, because it could be very, and I think even Meghan said it could be very damning for the person who said it. So we have many things here. We have the fact that there's two different timelines of this conversation. Harry saying it happened in the very beginning of their courtship, and then Meghan saying it was when she was pregnant with Archie. So one of them's lying. Secondly, they heavily implied racism, and to the fact that Meghan even alluded to the fact this was the reason why she believed that they were not getting the Prince and Princess title, even though Letters Patent states that this was not going to be the case regardless of who the children were or were not. And then Harry then also, Harry and Meghan implied that they were not going to talk about who said it because it could be very damaging. Well, if they hadn't said anything, if this was unconscious bias, Why would it be damning? Why not say, I don't believe for 1 second that my family meant anything by this, which is possibly where unconscious bias can come into it. However, I was very uncomfortable by this conversation, coming at it from your own perspective. Now, that doesn't mean to say that the person's wrong, because even though you might feel uncomfortable, you're responsible for how you feel. Nobody else is responsible for that. They are responsible for what they say. And if they believe that they've said something that could be upsetting, then that's up to them to change that. But just because you've perceived it as something doesn't mean to say that the other person's wrong. So you have this 2 different conversation timelines. The fact that they've implied race and even mentioned the word race and said it was damning, and they to the point where they couldn't mention what was said and who said it. So then this sent a furore, is that a word? Have I just made that up? Who knows? The media was literally racism, royal family, and they were attacked on social media. The media went after them. And instead of Harry coming out and using this as a chance to say, we were wrong, we should not have said that because my family are not racist and we were wrong in that conversation, what does he do? It's the British media's fault. Now, it wasn't just the British media that mentioned this. The media everywhere mentioned this. But Harry's unhealthy obsession with the British media, it's like he lays blame there in every way. At no point has there been, with either of them, any introspection into how they are and what they are responsible for. Now, with those 2, they could have come out and they could have stated at any point over the last 2 years that there is no way that the family is racist. But he chooses now in this interview, which is incredibly confusing, especially given that they've just received an award, which if I was the Kennedys, I would be going, you know what, we're taking that award back. And what was the award for? Combating institutional racism within the royal family. They went and actually got an award for this. So if they didn't believe that the royal family were racist, why on earth would they go and collect an award that says his family is racist? Because I know I wouldn't. If my family were accused of something and it wasn't true, I would be one of the first to come out and say, actually, hang on a minute, this isn't true. They are quite happy to put out statements when it suits them. Now, okay, we can argue the fact that Harry might believe that, well, they haven't come out and defended him, so why should he defend them? But the fact of the matter is, it's from it's their fault. They said this. And Harry's, again, this obsession with my brother is, and I don't know why, but it was really bugging me when he kept just consistently saying the leakings and the plantings and the, I don't know why it was like nails on a chalkboard. It was I don't know, it's his voice. I really don't know, but it was really bugging me that he just kept saying, it was almost like every other phrase, the leakings and the plantings and the conversations. And, it's almost like these just buzzwords that he uses. And his obsession with believing that the family have just, even though so many journalists have come out and said this absolutely isn't true, we're not sitting there waiting for the royal family to kind of just ring up and kind of go, oh, guess what? I know you were about to put in something about us, but here's a juicy story about Meghan and Harry. Again, this belief that they feel that everyone is against them and taking no accountability. So yes, it could very well have been that he's saying, well, they didn't defend us, so we're not going to defend them. But the problem is that he is, I'm guessing that the family have put these leaks out because of the fact that apparently they are supposedly the same wording. And I wonder where he got this from, because it seems to me that, and I will say that prior to Meghan, now again, we don't know what his thoughts, he might have been thinking this, but it just really feels that he's completely changed who he was. I mean, we have that sit down interview where they all three of them sat down and were talking about his mother's death, and were talking about therapy, they were talking about all of these things, and yet, you know, that seemed healthy, and yet it's almost like he's completely rewritten history and changed things. He was responsible, both of them were responsible for this coming out in the media. So in one way he's saying, you know, we are so upset by the fact the family have done this and they've not defended us. And yet there's, I think I saw something where it's come out that there was, in the space and time they were together, there was something like 12 or 14 statements made by the palace defending Harry and Meghan against the media. Yet in Harry's eyes, they never defended us. But they were solely responsible for this attack on the royal family. And they could have come out and said, you know, we believe there might be unconscious bias, but we do not believe that the family are consciously racist. I mean, this is the Queen's head of the Commonwealth. Because it's not just that. How damning could this now be? You know, well, not now, but could this be for them in that 2 years of the amount of people that were thinking of jumping ship of, you know, in the Commonwealth because the family being accused of racism. And this was down to what Harry and Meghan said. And this is the power of not only social media, but the media. When you literally listen to the fact that someone says something from their perception and they stated that as fact. No, not one person, well, apart from obviously the people that did criticise them and were hauled over the coals for it, you know, Sharon Osbourne being another one, you know, and I'm sure there were a few others. But as soon as they spoke out, they're racist. It's not, oh, that's their opinion and they're entitled to it. Harry and Meghan seem to be quite happy to be entitled to their opinion and to say whatever they want, but nobody else is. And that's not healthy at all. So you have the fact that they've accused the family, or heavily implied, which then created this huge thing in the media. They then did nothing to dampen that. And not only that, they collected an award. And then on top of that, he then says he doesn't believe that Lady Hussey was in the wrong, that she didn't mean it. And yet, you know, you could have, you know, William, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with how the palace handled that, but I guess they were perhaps backed into a corner. I don't know. But Harry is now saying that he doesn't believe that she was racist, and yet said nothing when it come out. He could have absolutely defended her and put out a statement, but said nothing. So and again, I will say that the only evidence that we've seen, or that I've seen, and I'm sure there might be the odd little thing of other royal, I mean, I know that there's, is it the Princess Michaela Kent and brain fog, probably might have got that wrong. Hopefully I don't think I have. Or as a husband, you know, yes, there was those things, I get that. And there's a history, obviously, with Wallis Simpson and, you know, and stuff like that. But however, recently, publicly, we have seen that Harry is the only one that has shown any tendency to racism. And it's almost as if he's so desperate to try and deflect from that. In the fact that, again, even now, blaming his brother and his sister-in-law for wearing the Nazi uniform. Now, I'm sorry, William being the future king, I'm going to be honest, this is my opinion, I do not believe that they thought it was humorous to wear a Nazi uniform. They seem to me, they are too intelligent for that. They would know the backlash that would come from that. They're not stupid. Harry is a little bit slower, I believe. Certainly comes across that way. So, but again, he was an adult. He wasn't a child. He's still capable of saying, you know, if he's going and saying, which one should I wear? And then they say, oh, the Nazi uniform. He can say, actually, do you know what? I don't think that's a good idea. But more importantly, why was it even a choice in the first place? when deciding on a costume, before he even got to the point of asking William and Catherine for their perspective, why did he go, that's not even an option, not even having that, we'll have a pilot and something else? So again, takes zero accountability for the fact that he even had that choice in the first place. And then even if they said that, which I don't believe they did, but even if they did, he then said, actually, no. He still put that uniform on, but blames everybody else for, and you know, and the way he speaks about afterwards, you know, I went and had a conversation, I spoke to, you know, usually you would say I had a conversation with, you know, it's, you know, you're having this, you know, where you're wanting to go and learn something, but it almost feels as if he isn't taking accountability. He doesn't believe he's done anything wrong. And the only reason it's coming out is because he's been called out for it. But of course, because of this whole racist thing, he's got to say something because people are accusing him of that. But then, like I spoke about yesterday, with this talking about this 25 Taliban and, you know, and calling them chess pieces, you know, these are human lives, but they're not white. So could you not class, you know, could that not be classed by somebody as racism? I don't know. I just feel that I genuinely don't know. Like I've talked about before, where I feel that he has got arrested development, and I feel that he is definitely stuck at 12, 13 years of age. And it certainly explains the fact that like I've said before, that the drugs and alcohol will certainly play a part in this. I've spoken about before what I believe he has histrionic disorder. And I believe that. It's not a formal diagnosis for the people that want to jump on all over that. I'm allowed to have an opinion in the fact that I'm the knowledge that I know, and the way he displays, you know, because with therapy, this is a lot of what we look at. It's not just about what they say, but it's how their behavior. And he does display, he's got narcissistic tendencies. I don't necessarily say that he's got narcissistic disorder, but however, because there are bouts of compassion that I do believe is genuine. Whereas with narcissistic personality disorder, there isn't. But there is fundamentally a deep worry for me how Harry just has this serious obsession with the British media. And I will talk about the Diana situation in another video, because obviously I'm aware that I've almost up to 30 minutes. So yeah, I feel that there is some very serious worry here in regards to the way he takes zero accountability for anything. And in all the interviews that they've done, I've never seen them take responsibility for anything. Even in that documentary, the Oprah interview, nothing. He blames everybody else for his failings. And in my mind, if you're not going to take accountability, then there's not going to be any change. Because one of the first things you have to do when you are starting to look at things and heal from things is look at your part that you play in it, because that's all you can change. You can't change how other people are, but it seems that he's so desperate to change everybody else around him and telling them how wrong they are. But in a way that deflects from him looking at himself and going, actually, the things I'm accusing other people of, I'm actually doing myself. As they say, when you point one finger at others, your three fingers are pointing back at you. And I do believe that's very true. He does so much projection and transference of what he does, and he just doesn't see it. And until he sees what he's doing and takes responsibility and ownership of that, and then works towards changing it, we're going to see a lot more of this. And that worries me. I don't know how more we can go from here, but you know, we're certainly seeing a lot of this playing out now. And so yeah, so let me know what you think in the comments, as you always do, and I delightfully read those comments. You know, what do you think is you know, in regards to this racism? And I possibly miss things out, and it's very as a lot of you know, having the menopause, I don't like reading from notes, because I like to seem organic in the way I'm talking. But with this brain fog, sometimes I get names or phrases wrong or timelines wrong. So please be softly with that. I don't mind the corrections in the comments because I do appreciate them. But I just wanted to explain that's what happens. Also, so I want to give a thank you for the fact that you're here watching this video with me, but also a thank you to the people that have gone across and supported my son's channel. As many of you might know, and if you don't know, he has gone traveling to Australia. He's doing a vlog, and he's got his first one up. It's called Why Not Adventures. I will put the link in the description box, but it's also going to be up here. I will do a picture of it at the end. Sorry, not a picture. I will do it as one of the videos that come up at the end, because I believe I can do that as a recommended. So please, I ask if you could go across and help get his subscribers up, because to start the YouTube channel, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and I think something like 4,000 viewing hours. So if you could please, as a little favour to me, go across, subscribe to his channel, give his video a watch and a thumbs up, and support my son on his journey. And yeah, so that's it. So thank you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and you'd like to subscribe so you do not miss further uploads, then please do. I have come to the decision that the true crime, I'm going to be starting a whole new channel. That is going to be going up very soon. Over the next, either this week or next week, I'm going to be getting that set up. So look out for that, and I will put a link to that when it goes live, and you can go across and view my first video, which is going to be on the Memphis 3. So that is the first video that I'm going to be tackling. It is going to be slightly different to what I do here. And the name I'm going to be calling it is going to be Coffee and Crime, and I believe that a lovely member, and I've got to find who said it, but somebody offered that as a name, and I like it because I think tea and therapy, coffee and crime, they go perfectly well together. So that is going to be the name of the new channel, Coffee and Crime. So I will be doing a new video on there. I was going to do it on here, but I think there's going to be so much confusion with so many things going on with this channel that I think people are also going to get, and also because this channel keeps being messed around with. I don't know why YouTube is doing it. They keep unsubscribing from people. I'm now having the fact that people have told me that they have been unsubscribed as a member. So please go and check your memberships. I don't know why YouTube keep messing around with me, but I'm hoping that this new channel, they leave that alone. And this one will just be therapy related stuff, and obviously the Harry and Meghan and other celebrities. I will be touching on those on this channel, and hopefully growing my other channel, the hair, beauty and makeup beauty, that is makeup, and hair care and skin care and all of those things. I will be doing a couple of videos on here, but again, we'll be then doing a whole new channel with that. So I'll have 3 channels going, but that channel will be a joint effort with a friend of mine. So hopefully that will be successful as well. But I will keep you informed of that. If you would like to join up as a member, and I appreciate the fact that I haven't been updating the members on the member board, I will get to grips with that by the end of this week. I am sorry for that. Just so much going on and trying to get back into the new year and working. But I will get to you, I promise. So you can join up if you want to join me on Instagram, TikTok, all of those, Rumble, please do. If you would like to send me something on the PO box, I know many of you asked me for what the address is. It's always in the description box of my video, so please check that out. You can buy my bubble merchandise. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to tip me or help, towards where I work with people, behind the scenes, for free when they struggle financially, you can support that by buying me a cup of coffee, or a cup of tea. And yeah, so everything you need to know, and the links to videos that I recommend or channels that I recommend, will be in the description box below. So like I say, please go and check out my son's channel. The video will come up after this, and it will also be in the description box. So thank you. Whew, breathe. So thank you, and I will see you in the next video. So take care, my lovely bubbles, and I love you. I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Mwah. Bye.